If we take novel writing, so we're going to be spending a lot of detail on setting a world, but if we are doing a screenplay, are we really, how much are we really paying attention to like the setting of it, the scenes? Because won't some of that be fleshed out when the actual film starts and the director storyboards or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is important to pay attention to the where of your story, right? Because every choice that you make in your screenplay should be a deliberate one. So if you've chosen a setting, there should have been some reasoning behind that. You're not going to set your love story about, working with incarcerated writers. You're not going to set that in a juvenile detention center. Maybe. No. You want it to be in a very specific sort of like type of prison to inform that world, right? So I think that you should pay attention to the where. If we're talking about the process of actually conveying that on the page, I think that the trick of screenwriting, right, is to be as concise as possible, but as evocative as possible in those few words. So that's the trick of conveying it on the page, is being deliberate about your choice, and then conveying it as specifically as possible so that you can get as much out of your choice as you can. Does that make sense?
It does. So fade in, if we're talking about, let's say, this library, this hypothetical, fade in, that's where I'm having, how much detail am I using?
Yeah, well, so early in your screenplay, you probably, because you're just introducing us to the world of your story, you'll probably take a little bit more time to convey where we are, the feel and the tone of where we are, and maybe the important characteristics of that setting, right? And then as your script progresses, you'll probably need to describe less, both because we've probably already seen a lot of these locations, and then also because you want your story to move fast, right? So as you go further along in the screenplay, you'll probably spend less time establishing locations than you did at the very beginning when you were trying to establish the world and create that world in our minds so that we could live in it for the duration of your story. Now, that said, I think that there's also value, though, in knowing which moments in your screenplay should breathe. And when you have a moment that you need to sort of give space to, that might be when you bring us into the world for a little bit, longer of a moment with some extra detail or telling us what's going on in that scene or something like that. Does that make sense?
It does, okay. Yeah. Is that the same for when we're doing a character description in the beginning? Like if we use this hypothetical librarian, she's 35, straight blonde hair, maybe a little bit dark under the eyes from staying up all night reading. Or something. I don't know.
Well, so there's a lot of emphasis put on those character introductions, right? I think I have two minds about this. I think that people get caught up in writing like the perfect character introduction. I think that they are important because the first time we meet your character, you want to give us a sense of who they are, sort of concisely and evocatively, right? But, I've seen some character introductions that are a little too long, that maybe like stop the story in order to give us a lot of information about the character the moment we meet them, which can be, if you're reading a script, it can really pull you out if you are forced to stop the scene and meet this person. That feels like it interrupts the flow of the story, right? So I think that the trick of writing character introductions, again, is the same with all screenwriting, which is be as concise as you can, but as evocative as you can. And what you're trying to convey when you introduce the character is give us that sort of like defining quality about them, that essence of the character that's going to be important to the story. So physical descriptions might not be as useful to us, right? Because the blonde hair might never come into play in the story, right? But it might be useful to know that she's overworked or that she's burning the midnight oil, or that might be important to the story and the situation that she finds herself in. So stuff like that could be useful, and you just have to sort of determine like what's the most sort of defining quality about this character that I need my reader to understand right now as I introduce them.